BrawlHalla is old. Like, really old. But even despite that, the game is still pretty active, with a daily peak of around 16,000 players. Now, I only really played BrawlHalla when it came to Switch in November of 2018, but recently my friend It's a Gamer had gotten me back into the game, and I really liked it. I liked it to the point where I actually thought of playing it competitively, so I decided to challenge myself and try to see how good I can actually get at BrawlHalla in just 7 days. Now, it is actually worth mentioning that I do actually have quite a bit of experience when it comes to platform fighters. I've played a bunch of platform fighters, and I've played a bunch of them competitively, like Multiverses, Rivals of Aether 2, Smash Bros. Ultimate, and a bunch more. Now, since it is day one, you might think that I'm gonna start out by choosing what character I want to play, because obviously I need to know what character I want to play if I want to get good. But there's actually a step that comes before that. How am I even gonna play my character if I don't know how I'm gonna play the game yet? What do I mean by that? Well, I have to know what controller I am going to use. But like I said, since I have a lot of experience in other platform fighters and I basically used the Nintendo Switch Pro controller on every single one of them, it was quite an easy pick. But surely using the Switch Pro controller wouldn't bite me in the ass later in this challenge, would it? I sure hope not. Now, after figuring out what controller I was going to use, it was finally time to choose my main. Now, in this game, every character has 2 different weapons that they use. Now, every weapon has the same light attacks. Every character that, for example, uses sword is going to have the same light attacks with sword, since those are unique to the weapon. But every character does have different signature moves to the sword, since those are unique to the character. So to me, it was more so important that I chose my main based off of the weapons instead of the design of the character. Now, like I said before, my friend It's a Gamer got me back into this game, and before I started recording this video, I played about 50 hours. So I kind of knew which weapons I liked and which I didn't, and the ones I really liked were bow, sword, orb, and guitars. The ones I really didn't like were axe, hammer, and lance. Then spear and cannon were pretty alright to me. I liked them, but I just liked the other ones more, and I had never played greatsword or chakram. But just based on the way they played, I didn't really think I'd like them very much, so I just didn't even bother trying. So now that we have the weapons that I really liked, it was time to actually go into some matches and play some characters. Or at least that was the original plan. See, I was gonna play a game with every single one of these weapons that I liked, and I would show you guys the footage and then talk about my experiences with them. But apparently on the day of recording, which is now almost 2 weeks ago, I did not do that. I just played like 3 different characters and then just called it a day. So to save you some time, there were 4 weapons at the end that I knew I liked the most. Those were sword, orb, guitars, and cannon. Now, luckily for me, there was a character that used guitars and cannon in rotation, as well as a character that used sword and orb. So eventually, it came down to these 2 characters, Lin Fei and Ezio. Quick thing, the gameplay you're going to be seeing in the background from now on is probably going to be me playing. This is just footage of me and my friend when I was trying out these characters, so don't expect good gameplay, alright? That's not what you're here for right now. The first one of those characters that I tried out was actually Lin Fei. Lin Fei is a character that has the cannon and the guitars, and I was having a lot of fun with her, especially when I was using the guitars, since that's really just my kind of weapon. I really like it when weapons have a little bit less damage output, but have great combos. That's what I look for in a weapon or in a character, so I knew that I was gonna like guitars. Cannon, on the other hand, is kind of more the opposite, where yes, the weapon does have combos, because every weapon in this game has combos. Cannon is more of a heavy hitter. It really kills a lot earlier on random hits, but I was still enjoying it a lot, even though I will say I didn't really know how to play either of the weapons, as you can probably tell by my gameplay. But I tried my best, and I actually really liked it. Even though I did think guitars was a lot more fun than cannon, I was still having a lot of fun with both. So I could definitely say that Lin Fei did good. Now for the other option, we had Ezio, the character that uses sword and orb. Now, sword is a weapon that I am a lot more comfortable with using, because the character I actually played before I made this video was Koji, who uses bow and sword. So sword was nothing new to me. But orb kinda was. And orb is quite a weird weapon. It has a lot of weird moves that attack from a lot of weird angles, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't enjoying myself, because I was really liking it. Even though I didn't know anything about the weapon, I didn't know what moves were good, I still had just a great time playing it. And not only that, compared to Lin Fei, I actually think that Ezio's signatures are a lot more fun to use than Lin Fei's. But I feel like part of the reason I was enjoying Ezio a bit more than I was Lin Fei at the time was probably because I was just more comfortable with the weapons that he had, but that doesn't mean that Lin Fei didn't put up a fair fight, because in the end, my decision was very, very close, and it was a hard one. But at the end of the day, I decided to go with Ezio. That's right, I decided to go with Ezio, the Sword Orb Legend. Ezio overall just had a way cooler design in my opinion, and I also just liked the weapons quite a bit more. But not only that, he also is a pretty well all-rounder, which I like. He has an attack stat of 5 out of 10, a dexterity stat of 7 out of 10, a mid-defense stat with a 4 out of 10, and an average speed stat of about 6 out of 10. So overall, he's got some pretty average stats, making him a great all-rounder, and that's kind of what I like in a character. Now, day 2 was more of a studying day, rather than a practicing day. Today, I mostly just watched Dobrain, I don't know how you pronounce it, but I watched his Ultimate BrawlHalla guides. In general, I would say that all of these are very good guides. So I'm just going to quickly go over the things I learned in each one of them. So first, I started out with the basic BrawlHalla guide, part 1. In this guide, I didn't really learn that much, but what I did learn is that stances actually do more than I thought. For example, power stance doesn't only increase damage, but also knockback. Defense reduces knockback and damage taken. Speed, well, that one's kind of obvious, but dexterity actually decreases the end lag of moves on hit and on width. That was something I actually didn't know. That actually caught me off guard, which I think is very funny. Then we moved on to the advanced guide, part 2. Here I learned about ledge cancels. Ledge cancels is basically when you jump up to a platform and you perform any kind of downward move, like a down light or a down sig. This will basically cancel your jump and make you perform a grounded down light or a grounded down sig on the platform. And you can also do this with dashes. And then the last thing I learned was that while you're hanging onto the wall, these yellow exclamation marks will appear above your head, and after the first one appears, you lose access to one of your jumps, and by the third, you actually have no recovery jumps or air dodge left, so it's basically just a free kill for the opponent. And then for the last one, we went on to the ultimate guide, part 3, which is where I learned that inputting a reverse attack while running at max speed will actually reverse your attack and carry over the momentum. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I still don't know how to do this. And I also learned that usually when you're in the air and you land on the ground, you have 4 frames of lag. But if you input a move as soon as you land, that lag will actually be replaced by your move startup, basically giving you a no lag landing. Now, overall, I would say that these guides were very helpful, but because I already knew most of it, it wasn't that helpful to me. Mostly just the stuff that I mentioned is more like niche stuff, I feel. Like, I feel like most of this is not going to be something that's like gonna make or break your gameplay besides the exclamation marks when you're hanging onto the wall. So overall, I feel like they're a bit more niche and don't really teach you exactly how to play. But then again, the guides have a lot of use, so maybe I'm just wrong. So during day 2, I mostly just practiced all of that, and eventually I hopped into some games. I'm telling you, I practiced the ledge cancels for over an hour and a half, and I was getting it semi-consistently with downlights, but the window to do it with a down signature is actually a lot tighter, so I really wasn't doing that one well. But I actually, during my play session, when I eventually went from practicing to playing, I did get 1 kill from the ledge cancels, which was actually pretty nice. But like I said, I was still really bad at sig cancels, or signature cancels, and I was just still inconsistent with the whole thing in general. Overall, on day 2, I didn't really practice many different things. I mostly just focused on these niche little things, which looking back at it, might have not been the best choice, but that's what I did. And then I played some games. I actually got up to a new high elo, like I reached the new peak elo, but then I went on a quite big losing streak. But overall, I still had a higher elo than when I started, even with this losing streak. So overall, day 2 was a success. Now let's get into day 3. Now, before we get into day 3, I want to do a check-in. I'm probably going to be doing these check-ins once every few days in this challenge, where I basically just go over what I learned, how I feel about how I'm doing, and all kinds of stuff. Now, what I've done in day 1 and 2 is obviously I chose what controller I was going to use, I chose the weapons I wanted to use, I chose what character I wanted to play. So basically, I did the basics. I looked at the character select screen, chose my character, and I started playing. Then on day 2, I watched some guides, and that's when I learned all that really weird specific tech and all that stuff. So overall, I just did the basics that anyone should do when they start a video game. Even though I didn't do much, there was improvement, which is great. We love that. Now that I'm doing the check-in for day 2, it might also be nice to go over what I want to achieve with this challenge, where I eventually want to get. My biggest dream here is to reach platinum rank, but that's like a really far stretch, right? I don't think I'm gonna hit platinum rank, but it would be nice. Overall, my goal is more so to just get as high up in gold as I possibly can. I don't really have a specific elo vision. I do want to get as close to platinum rank as I can, if not even platinum rank. And besides elo, I just want to see myself improve. I just want to see that I'm actually getting better, that I'm actually implementing what I'm practicing, the basic stuff. So those are basically my goals for this challenge, so that at the end I can look back and say, yes, I actually practiced, I implemented my practice, I studied, and overall I just improved. Those are the goals. Now, day 3 was not really anything special, since for most of the day the BrawlHalla servers were down, so I couldn't really play, but eventually I was able to play some games. So I played some doubles with my friend, and then played some 1v1s later, and I'll take a screenshot of this and put it in the video, but I think I wasn't really having a great time when I was playing, because in my notes here it says, might be the worst day of my fucking life. So I don't really think I was having a good time playing. I don't remember why or what happened. I was probably just losing a lot, and losing a lot to people who were just spamming signature moves. But besides that, there's no notes. Besides just might be the worst day of my fucking life. So do with that information as you wish. That is all I have for day 3. It's all. Let's move on to day 4. We made it to day 4, which is kind of halfway, but a little bit over halfway of this challenge. On day 4, I did some doubles with my friend at the gamer like I do every day, which didn't really go that well. We kind of lost most of our matches. But then, before I actually hopped into singles or 1v1, I decided to watch a guide on how to play Orb, because I realized when I was playing, I wasn't really using Orb. I would just switch off of it as soon as I got the chance. I would just switch back to Sword. So I realized that I just wasn't comfortable enough because I didn't know enough about the weapon, like the combos, the good moves in neutral. So I decided to watch a guide. And if I'm being honest, after watching the guide, I saw great results immediately. Like, yeah, sure, I wasn't fucking the best player in the world with Orb, but I was actually seeing improvements, and I was actually getting more comfortable with the Orb, which was very nice to see. I managed to reach a new peak of 1500 elo, which I know is not a lot, but it's a new peak for me, and I loved it. So overall, 1v1s went very great. Now after that, there was one thing that I knew was still lacking from my gameplay, which is probably the most important thing in almost any fighting game, or platform fighter specifically, is my movement. My movement was just off. So I decided to watch a movement guide, and this is where the foreshadowing of the Pro Controller comes into play. So I decided to watch Pavelski's movement guide on YouTube. This is when I discovered that a lot of things are just a lot better or easier with keyboard than controller. But not only that, I also figured out that some stuff wasn't even possible on controller. One of those things is pivoting. Now, I don't know how good pivoting actually is in top level play, but to me personally, I use pivoting a lot. I love just running around trying to outmaneuver my opponent, and sometimes I have to do an instant turnaround attack, and pivots is what does that. But that is not possible on Pro Controller. And now look, I kind of knew getting into this that the Nintendo Switch Pro Controller isn't the best controller to play games with. And I've played other 2D fighting games like Street Fighter and Guilty Gear Strive, where I also used to play with Pro Controller, but now switched to keyboard instead because Pro Controller is just not good. That's just for the 2D fighter specifically. It's actually good for platform fighters, but for BrawlHalla specifically, I mean, keyboard almost always has the upper hand in any video game. So I was at a loss. I really didn't know what to do. I never play any games on keyboard. When I said that I played Street Fighter and Guilty Gear Strive on keyboard, that is true, but I only played those games on keyboard for like 2 hours. And besides that, I don't play any PC games. I've never used keyboard in my life. I would always use Pro Controller if I was able to. And if I wasn't, I usually just wouldn't play. Not only that, but I also have a disorder in my hands called DCD, which I actually don't know the full name of, but that doesn't matter. It basically makes it harder for me to do certain movements with my hands, and makes it harder to get used to certain movements in my hands. So playing on keyboard is already quite a hindrance because of my disorder, but now I was at a point where I really didn't want to continue playing if I was going to keep playing on Pro Controller, since I wasn't able to get out my full potential. But switching to keyboard in only 2 days left in this challenge seemed like an impossible task, and I didn't know what to do. So I decided to call it a day, get some rest, and leave it for day 5. Before we get into day 5, I want to do another check-in about the things I learned. Well, obviously, day 3 was kind of a bummer, as we know. The game, first of all, just was out for most of the day, so I couldn't play. And, you know, like you saw, it was apparently the worst day of my fucking life, so didn't really learn much there, did we? But on day 4, when I watched the orb guide, I did actually see some improvements, so that was pretty good. And overall, I was getting better at the stuff I was practicing on day 2, where I watched those guides, so overall, I was seeing great improvements again. But I also found out about the fact that playing on controller is just not gonna work out for me. So, you know, day 3 and 4 had their ups and downs, but we made it through. Now let's get into day 5. Now let's go over my goals. Like I said, my goals are to just know I improved overall, and to reach as high in gold as I possibly can. Like I said, I reached a new peak elo of about 1500 elo, which that means I improved and I'm getting higher into the elo rank, closer to platinum. And overall, when I look back at my old gameplay versus my gameplay now, I do see that I have improved. So I would say that overall, I'm getting a lot closer to my goals. Today was day 5, and this is when I was faced with the difficult decision of switching to keyboard or just giving up on a challenge. And even though every single part of my body and my brain told me to just stop the challenge and just keep it here, I was too stubborn, and I decided, you know what, I'm either gonna learn keyboard or I'm not going to, and I'm going to be shit. So I decided to do it. I decided to switch to keyboard, and I hopped into training mode to get used to the controls, and then immediately after went into some unranked 1v1s. I was doing a lot better than I thought I was. I thought I was going to be losing every single game, but I actually wasn't. I was winning quite a few matches, and is that because it's unranked and people are shit? Yes. Is that the whole point? Yes. But after a lot of trial and error, I finally felt confident enough to switch to ranked 1v1s. Now, let me tell you, the switch to keyboard really wasn't easy at all, but I thought it was gonna take me at least 2 days to get even slightly used to keyboard, but I actually got the hang of it after like an hour or 2 hours, which was pretty nice. So then I decided to hop into some ranked 1v1s. Remember how I said in day 4 I reached a new peak elo of 1500? Well, I just realized that I completely fucked that up immediately after I got it. I got to 1500 and then went on an insane losing streak and went back all the way down to 1383, which is a lot less. Even though I wasn't completely comfortable with keyboard yet, I did decide to hop into some ranked games, and I actually did better than I thought. I thought I was going to be losing at least 70% of my matches, but I actually won most of them and ended my elo just a little bit higher than what I started, which is honestly more than I could have ever asked for, so I'm just gonna take it. We ended today at about 1400 elo. Let's just get on to day 6. And now we finally get to day 6, the second last day of this challenge. As this is the second last day of this challenge, I didn't really do much more training or looking at guides. I did watch another tournament VOD to just try and improve a bit on my sword gameplay and my orb gameplay, learn some new combos, learn some more basic stuff. It's not like when I watched the orb guide where I watched the guide and my gameplay was a lot better out of nowhere. No, I just saw small little improvements here and there, which is good, because as you're getting better, it starts getting harder to get better, if that makes sense. So I ended up with 1431 elo, which is a lot lower than in the last check-in day where I had about 1500 elo. But we still have 1 day left of this challenge. Let's not give up hope. Now it was finally time for the last day of this challenge, day 7. Day 7, I honestly didn't do anything practice-wise. I just hopped into ranked and played for 7 hours. I played some doubles with my friend It's a Gamer again, and we did kinda well. We ended up with higher elo than we started, but that's not what we're here for. We're here for the 1v1s. The 1v1s were not going too great at first. I was losing a lot of matches, and since I had brung myself down so much with my losing streak on day 6, but I didn't let that discourage me and I kept playing. And eventually I reached a new peak elo of 1558. Now, this is the last day of the challenge, so maybe now is a good time to tell you guys that while I was recording this, I actually didn't know how much elo I needed to get platinum rank. See, when I was playing doubles with my friend It's a Gamer once, I don't know if that was recorded or not, so I'm probably not going to be able to find the footage, but we were about 1600 elo, and he told me, hey, we can almost make it to platinum rank if we play a little more and win a little more. So I thought, oh, platinum rank, that's like 1600. Well, turns out I was wrong, and not just a little bit, I was very wrong. Since platinum rank is only available at 1680 elo, which is 80 elo more than 1600, which is quite a lot more. Now, after I reached this peak elo, I went back and forth on wins and losses again for a few hours, and eventually I ended up with 1504 elo. And honestly, I was not satisfied. Now, this was supposed to be the last day of the challenge, but I was just not happy with myself. I was not enjoying the challenge anymore since it felt more like a task to get the platinum rather than a goal, and so I really didn't want to keep playing, but something inside me told me to do so, and I'm gonna save myself the embarrassment because I went on for a day 8. Yes, I did. I actually went on for a day 8 because I thought, like I said, that platinum rank was just right around the corner. That platinum rank was just so within my grip. It was within my reach. I could just feel it. I could grab it. But in day 8, I kind of shat the bed completely again, and I went down to 1497 elo, which isn't that much lower than what I ended on day 7, but it was just not enough. And ultimately, this challenge was successful. Yes, even though I didn't reach the goals I wanted to reach. I didn't get platinum rank, I didn't get to the highest possible elo in gold, but the other goal was reached. The goal that I set about watching myself improve and knowing that I practiced, knowing that I did everything in my power to try and become as good at the game as I can. And overall, I would say that was very successful. If you compare my gameplay from day 1 to day 8, you can see that there was quite a lot of improvement, which I am very proud of. Am I good at the game? Fuck no. But now here's the real question. After this entire challenge, there's only one more thing that I have to decide on. Do I want to keep playing BrawlHalla? Now, if I have to be honest, guys, this voiceover is being recorded probably 2 to 3 weeks after this final recording, which you might have noticed if you paid attention to some of the events that were going on at that time. It's been a while since I've recorded this. I have been putting a lot of work and a lot of effort into this, and also a lot of procrastination. In these past few weeks, I did play a little bit of BrawlHalla. I had a little bit of a burnout because of the challenge, but then I started playing again. But I'm gonna be honest, the more I play it and the better I get, the worse the game feels to play, which is not what a game is supposed to do. In conclusion, I don't think I will be playing BrawlHalla again. Even though looking back at this, it was a good experience, in the moment, it was less of a good experience. I had quite a few, less happy moments in this challenge where I, almost threw my controller through my window a couple times every hour. But I restrained myself, so that didn't happen, which is good. But I just don't like the game as much as I thought I would. Now, if you guys really want to see me do another video, I am down to do one more BrawlHalla video where I practice a few days and then enter an online tournament. If you guys want to see me do that, I am completely down to do that. That sounds fun. That sounds great. Even though I'm probably going to go 0-2. It sounds like a good idea, so if you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments. For the future of this channel, I really don't really know what I'm gonna do yet. For the time being, I'm probably just gonna focus on general fighting games, so also traditional fighters like Street Fighter, Guilty Gear Strive, and stuff like that. And I also have one Pokemon video still in the works, but I really don't know when that one is going to come out. So overall, I only reached one of the 2 goals that I set for myself. And the second one about improving and watching myself practice, that one was personally the most important to me. There were certain points in this challenge where a lot of times I thought about just giving up and quitting it here. Even during the editing of this video, I wanted to quit. During the challenge, I was just not having fun the more I played, and maybe that is because I just played too much, but we can all agree that BrawlHalla brings out the worst of people, so I will not be playing this game again. But like I said, I am down to do one more video where I practice and play in the tournament, so if you want me to do that, let me know. Goodbye, see you in the next video.